Hey, welcome to Think Thursday from the Alcohol Minimalist Podcast. Think Thursday is all about your beautiful, brilliant human brain. We're talking neuroscience. We're talking behavior change. We are talking about your mindset. Are you ready to get started? Let's go. Well, hello and welcome or welcome back to Think Thursday. Here from the Alcohol Minimalist, and we are talking all about neuroscience, mindset, brain health, and how to make sustainable change happen for your life regarding any really behavior that's no longer serving you. And if you've been around here for a while, you might remember that back in October, I had an episode all about brain health and diet. And that episode, we dove into the Mediterranean diet and how powerful certain nutrients like omega 3s, B vitamins, and antioxidants can be for protecting your brain, improving memory, and even reducing the risk of diseases like Alzheimer's. And today we're kind of picking up right where that left off because there is new research that was just published in July of 2025 that takes brain healthy eating to a whole new level. And they utilized, yes, that's right, AI to analyze diets of over 185,000 people over a 10-year span. And from that, they created a new diet called the modern diet. And modern stands for machine learning optimized diet for enhancing risk negotiation. All right, pretty long and complicated, but it is literally designed to optimize your brain health. So, of course, we need to talk about it here on Think Thursday, where we're all about our beautiful, brilliant human brains. So, today we're going to dive into what this new modern diet actually is. We're going to compare it to the well known Mind diet. You might have heard about the Mind diet before. And we're going to talk about what kind of science supports these claims because, spoiler alert, it's not cut and dried. And so I want you to know that right ahead of time. Or also loop back to that October episode and connect the dots. And of course, I'll share what this means for you and how to take small steps that you can actually start taking today to help you eat in a way that might protect that beautiful, brilliant brain of yours. Let's get into it. So, this brand new study came out in Nature Human Behavior in July of 2025, and it's pretty compelling. Here is exactly what happened. Researchers at Oxford used a machine learning model to analyze dietary data from the UK Biobank. This is a massive long-term study that tracked the health of over 185,000 people. And instead of going in with assumptions, they let the algorithm figure out which foods were most associated with dementia risk, either lowering it or increasing it. And then they built a plan around that data. And the result was that the modern diet, which breaks food into three categories. Number one is adequacy foods. These are foods we want more of, and they are protective foods. And the top protective foods included olive oil, good because that goes right along with the Mind diet and the Mediterranean diet. Citrus fruits, which wasn't previously on either of those, berries, and leafy greens. Foods that are considered moderation foods, so they are best consumed in balanced amounts, include tomatoes, poultry, and eggs, and then restriction foods. And these are not very surprising, but added sugars, sweetened beverages specifically topped the list as the most harmful for your brain health. But anything with a high, outside added sugars is a restriction food. Now, one interesting twist in this study is that fish, which we usually think of as a brain healthy food, didn't show up as protective in this study. And the reason for that is likely regional. In the UK, which is where this data came from, fish is often fried and served with chips. So context does matter, and it probably mattered in this associative study, which we're going to get into in just a minute about what kind of data this is. The headline, though, is this: people who scored highest on the modern diet had a 51% lower risk of developing dementia over the next decade. And that is a huge reduction. And it's especially relevant to us here because this diet isn't just about adding superfoods, it's about balance, it's about variety, and it's about giving your brain high quality fuel consistently. Does this sound familiar at all? Because if you listen to the October episode, which I will link in the show notes, we talked about that even though your brain is only 2% of your body weight, it consumes about 20% of your energy, and how refined sugar, unhealthy fats, and processed foods can cause inflammation that disrupts memory and mood. The modern diet builds on those same principles, just with a modern, data backed, AI backed twist. So let's zoom out and compare this new modern diet with the more established mind diet. And the mind diet stands for Mediterranean dash intervention for neurodegenerative delay. You've probably heard of the mind diet before, but if you've listened to that October episode, you'll notice I didn't mention it specifically. I focused on the Mediterranean diet, which overlaps a lot with mind, but I didn't go into the hybrid version of mind. So let's fix that now. Here is how they stack up, or how the mind diet compares to the modern diet. So the mind diet was created in 2015, and the modern diet, as I said, was developed in 2025 using AI. The mind diet is based on the Mediterranean diet and the DASH diet. And the modern diet is based on real world data from 185,000 people in the UK. The mind diet prioritizes leafy greens, berries, nuts, olive oil, fish, and poultry. The modern diet prioritizes citrus, olive oil, berries, and leafy greens. In the mind diet, fish is encouraged, and in the modern diet, fish is actually not included, which is likely due, as we've just discussed, to the regional context. In the mind diet, poultry and eggs are encouraged. And in the modern diet, poultry and eggs are encouraged, but in moderation. In the mind diet, sweetened drinks are very limited. And in the modern diet, sweetened drinks are strongly restricted. The mind diet has been shown to account for a 35% reduced risk of Alzheimer's, and the modern diet has been associated with 51% reduced dementia risk. So, if you've been eating more Mediterranean style or following mind diet principles already, congratulations, because you're definitely on the right track. The modern diet just gives us an updated, more customized lens. And it's like taking the mind diet and kind of fine tuning it based on what's actually happening in people's lives. The biggest message: more isn't always better. Even healthy foods can lose their protective power or become counterproductive. That's what they saw on the modern diet, specifically around things like poultry and eggs. When things are consumed in excess, it's typically just not great for you, right? I think that's probably true of just about anything that you can consume. Anything in excess, probably not good for us. Now, before you rush out to load up your grocery cart with oranges and spinach, we need to talk about the type of science that backs all of these diets. Both the mind and the modern diets are built on what are called observational studies. And if you've been around here at all, the big podcast, I go into quite detail over time about the difference between observational studies and true double-blind placebo-controlled studies. It means that researchers looked at people's existing habits over time and drew correlations between what they eat and how their brain health turned out. But the important thing to remember is that correlation is not the same as causation. Just because people who eat more citrus have lower dementia risk doesn't mean the citrus is the direct cause. There could be many other factors at play, like exercise habits, genetics, socioeconomic status, how the food is prepared. All of these things could be parts of the reasons that people who consume more citrus have lower risk of dementia. That's the difference from randomized controlled studies where participants are randomly assigned different diets and everything else is controlled for. Those kind of studies give us causal evidence, but they are very difficult and expensive to do with food because, well, you can't exactly bind someone to what they're eating, right? Unless they live in a laboratory, and then you got a whole nother set of contexts that we're not sure about. So we use observational research very commonly to help guide us. And it does give us strong signals. It just doesn't give us definitive proof. And I want to be clear about that. When multiple associative studies point in the same direction, as they have with the Mediterranean diet, the Mind diet, and now the modern diet, we pay attention, especially when we combine the data with what we already know about inflammation, oxidation, and brain metabolism. So yeah, science may not be perfect, but the signal is clear. What you eat matters for your brain, for your mood, and for your longevity. So what does all of this mean for you? Here's the truth. You don't have to follow some perfect AI-approved meal plan to protect your brain, but you can start doing things that make a difference. And you can start paying attention to your patterns. Can you add more citrus into your week? Can you swap that soda for a sparkling water? Can you take a handful of berries instead of chips at snack time? These small shifts add up, especially when you make them from a place of love for your future self and for your future brain, not from guilt or pressure. And if you're already doing the work of becoming an alcohol minimalist, then you're halfway there. Because being intentional with what you drink and what you eat, these habits go hand in hand, supporting a healthier, more vibrant brain. I'm going to include a one-page breakdown or a comparison, that kind of chart that I showed between the modern versus mind diet, just for reference. It'll be linked in the show notes. And if this sparked something for you in terms of what you're hearing, I would love to know what you're trying, what's working, and what you would like to learn more about. So email me, molly@mollywatts.com, or drop into the Alcohol Minimalist Facebook group and let me know. Until next time, be kind to your brain. Feed it like it's the most important organ you have, because, my friends, it absolutely is. Take care, choose peace, and I will see you on Monday.